still frozen.
I'm still frozen. Well, if you can see the screen, that's probably better than seeing my face. So on that basis, I'm going to kick off and get started. Okay, welcome everybody. I suppose I should run through the usual set of time zones. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are located in the world, and welcome to this session. I'm Phill Fox, and I work for Adaptavist, but I don't just work for Adaptavist. I do a few other things, and I'm joined today by Erica, who's going to keep an eye on all your wonderful chats and all your cute questions and keep me honest and truthful and answering stuff there. We are going to be throwing a few polls at you, so we do like you to join in and contribute. Lots of stuff there. Feel free to drop reactions in. Somebody's already throwing me heart eyes. I'm getting a little bit worried about that. Great to see that. So do throw the reactions at us and join in. Right, we're going to fire through. We're going to keep this light-hearted. We're going to try and give you all information that you can take away. I was given the title of Agile in Service Management, but when I started to put the presentation together, I actually thought, well, actually, there's a much better title, and why didn't I think of that before? And so I renamed the title to When Agile and ITSM Collide. And here you can see a little bit about me. Feel free to link up to me on LinkedIn. That's absolutely fine. I don't post a huge amount up there. And what I do tends to be very much focused in the Atlassian space. So feel free to follow me, join me, send me comments. If you like what I've done, post and mention me. If you don't like what I've done, send me a direct message and tell me why not. So a little bit about who I am. So I've been in the Atlassian ecosystem for more than 13 years. We'll brush over how long I've been in IT, but let's just say it's several decades, and we're not talking small numbers of decades. I've been with Adaptavist for 9 years. I was the get the name right. I was the org leader in London for 3 years, and then they stopped me because I went to work for a partner. As soon as they relaxed the rules and said partners could be ACE leaders again, I then helped to set up the Cambridge ACE here in the UK. But probably more importantly, and I know you'll all like pretty pictures, I'm actually a sidekick, and I work with 2 search and rescue dogs that search for missing persons. And for those who are interested in and go with gooey eyes at dogs, the black and white one is 6-year-old and is called Breeze, and she's an air searcher, and the brown and white is training up and he's 3 years old, and he's going to be a cadaver dog. So there you go. And they may well come along and say hello to us during this presentation. In fact, Sammy's at my side at the moment because I've mentioned his name. Right. So let's start off, and we'll actually think about what is your organization like. And here comes the first poll. So heads up, it's coming your way now. I've just got to find the right poll. It's disappeared. I've lost my poll. That's not very good.
Publish for you.
Have you already done it? Okay. So we're asking. There it is. Yeah. Publish that poll. There we go. So I've just published the poll which asks about your agile maturity and what it is, and your ways of working. So we'll let that run for a while and give you a chance to respond to that. Now, the key thing that we're talking today about is many organizations, rightly or wrongly, often end up breaking down into a number of silos. The challenge with silos are well known. Information gets locked with a particular team, a particular department. And it doesn't just apply at the department level. It can also apply at the level of the organization and the way in which the organization works. And here we're talking about when agile and service management collide. And so what I want to do is you've got the poll, and hopefully if I can find the right place, I should be able to produce the results of that. There we go. And I'll end that poll. So I'm seeing 6%, brilliant. 6% of you say that you tend to work in silos, which is wonderful. I can tell you if I'd done this 2 or 3 years ago, the numbers would have been very different. 37% said you're very collaborative, and 56% said, oh, we got a bit of everything. And do you know what? That doesn't surprise me at all. That's exactly what you sort of see in that respect. Okay, so moving on a little bit, we now know what sort of organizations you are, but let's do a little bit of theory, and I'll keep it light and I'll keep it quick. Service management is one of those buzzwords that goes around, and it seems like everybody can put letters in front of the SM, and you get ESM, ITSM, JSM, XSM, and various other things. So let's just set in our minds a little bit that can help us. There are lots of definitions of what service management is. I look at many of them. I find one that is particularly easy to get to grips with is the one called Yet Another Service Management Model. And so I've taken the definition from them. And that breaks up into the statement that you see on the screen. It's a management discipline. It's not about your processes. It's not about your tools, but it's about the culture and the way of working within your organization. There's lots more we can unpick in that, such as that it's about delivering quality services. What is a service? Well, a service is something which is what your customer wants to interact with. And when we say interact, we're talking about valuing it, buying it, using it. All of those are very valid service management operations. We then break down into enterprise service management. So we've stuck an E on the front of service management. And this is therefore all about applying the principles and those capabilities across your whole organization. And if we tease this out a bit more, it's really about delivering in a customer-centric way and thinking about it in terms of services. And here the difference is where typically you get technicians who look to provide technical solutions and technical answers. Here, what we're looking at is delivering business solutions that deliver value to the customer. And this is why when we talk about service management, we do it all through the lens of that customer and that service-oriented process. We don't do it through the, hey, can I be really clever and do some shiny techie stuff? What I do is I deliver a service that goes directly to that customer. If anybody wants to raise a question or put anything in the live chat, Erica is going to keep an eye on that and interrupt me at that point. So don't feel scared of dropping comments in. She's telling me we're all good at the moment, so that's great. And I saw a few reactions to things that I'm saying, which is most weird, seeing them pop up on your screen when you're talking, but that's fine. I'm glad to say I'm making people happy. Now, when we talk about it, one of the key things about service management is you never stop improving. Service management has a key overriding principle, practice, whatever you want to call it, guiding principle of continuous improvement, always looking at what you're doing. And these are some of the things that I'm going to come back to a little bit later in this presentation. But I said people keep sticking letters on the front of service management. So let's talk about IT service management. And IT service management is about the managing and delivering of IT services. So it's focusing again. So rather than the whole organization, what we're looking at now is just the part that delivers IT. You could take this definition, what you're seeing on the screen, and replace by IT with any department that exists within your organization. So you could put facilities to effectively manage and deliver facility services. You could put HR services. You could put payroll services. You can put whatever you want, and there is service management that supports that way of working. But the title of this is not teaching you all about service management. It's talking about when Agile and service management collide. So let's now have a little bit about these high-level definitions, and now let's apply it to Agile. And what we're going to do here is, I'm not going to talk everything, but let's take ITIL. These high-level definitions, and I've got a little star here to say ITIL 4, yeah, it's well respected, it's well used across the world, but it is not the only framework out there. There's COBIT, there's MOF, there's ETOM, there's TOGAF. All of them have a different focus and a different way of working, but they're all frameworks. Question for everybody here, and I'm not going to put a poll out for this one. What is the difference between a framework and a set of guidelines or a set of rules? Very simply, a framework is presented to you as a way in which you can take that framework and adapt it to suit your organization. Rules and guidelines say you will do it this way. A framework says you could do it this way. This works for other organizations, but we don't say it will work for you. You need to customize this to suit your organization. This is where I get quite angry and quite annoyed when I come across people who say, we've implemented ITIL. What do you mean you've implemented ITIL? Oh, we've done it according to the book of what ITIL says. There isn't a book of ITIL. There isn't a, here is the way of doing it ITIL. There is a framework of ITIL that you take and customize and you implement based upon your needs. If you're in that wonderful small percentage where ITIL framework is exactly how you want to work as a business, great, you've done it. But the reality is I've yet to come across many organizations who do not do any customization of ITIL. The whole point of ITIL is use the bits that work for you, adapt the bits that don't work for you, and all the time keep going back and revisiting and refreshing. And so the key guiding principles are listed here, and there's 7 of them. Deliver value. Remember that you are somewhere and you want to start from there. Don't try to do big bang stuff and introduce something without thinking about what you've already got, what its strengths, what its weaknesses are, and how you can move it. Progress iteratively and make sure that you drive that in that respect. Don't try and do it where what you do is you do it and you go, yeah, we've done it, it's done, we've walked away in that respect. I've just published another poll for you. And so what you should see is one asking you which of these is the most important to your organization. Collaborate. Make sure that you work not just with your colleagues, but also with understanding and knowing your customers. Share early changes, get their feedback, get them to commit and give you the benefit of, is this better for them or not? And don't be scared of accepting that if they say it's not better, then asking them why it's not better. And more importantly, if it's not better, work out how you change and do it. And that takes you back to that iterative approach and focusing on delivering that feedback. Think and work of it in a holistic way. Well, that's really important. Don't think about one part of a problem. Think about the whole solution and do it. Keep it simple. Keep it practical. And think about how you can optimize and automate. Right. So I should be able to publish that now. Where's me? There we go. End the poll. And so interestingly, we have the focus on value, the collaborate and share, and the optimize and automate, which doesn't really come as a big surprise to me. But I'm going to focus a little bit more on some of the other parts of this as we work through. So great to see you participating in that respect. Erica, you've come on
All
video,
right.
which tells me you're going to interrupt me.
I'm going to interrupt you. This is what I do. We have a question from Jimmy. Do you have any thoughts or best practices to make it easier for a team responsible for both Agile sprint work and queue-based incident work to see everything within a single view in either Jira Service Management or Jira Software?
I'm going to, because of course Jimmy loves asking difficult questions, but it's a great question to ask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn that question slightly on its head. Because one of the things that you have is, yeah, you want to see your Agile sprint work, you want to see your queue-based incident work. But who is it that wants to see what? You have different stakeholders who will differently need to see different things. So if you think about your service manager will want to focus very much on being able to see the Agile queue-based incident work and focus clearly on that. They will want to know, are we on track? Are we delivering all of our incident? Are we clearing down the incidents? The development manager, if it's not the same person, will want to focus on what is in the Agile sprint work and how do you commit to that? And are we on track to deliver our sprint? So You can drop your queue-based incident work into your Scrum or Kanban board. Well, it would be a Scrum board for a sprint, and have it viewed there. It could be that you allocate time out of your sprint to deal with the incident work, and you have a Kanban board that delivers that. Again, and there isn't one size fits all. But actually, I'm going to say there are other people as well that you need to think about who would want to see all of that work, but don't necessarily need to be able to interact with it. Who are your stakeholders? And different stakeholders would like to think, okay, how do we take that and how do we make that information available? And here I'm going to make a suggestion to you. Look at custom charts from what used to be All Street Solutions, that's now part of Tempo, and use their alias approach to produce reports in Confluence using custom charts, using aliases on queries to pull the information across into that Confluence view dynamically to share with a stakeholder or any user. You can configure it as you see best to give you that view of this is the work that we've just done, we're about to do, we're going to do. How do you make that look? Design your dashboard to the best design that you want. Again, go back to what I said, iterate it, and take feedback and improve it. Service and Jira integration offer views. Okay, I spotted that one.
Yeah.
You can build integrations and views that cut across that. However, if you start to mix a ServiceNow and Jira integration, think about which is your system of record and which is the slave. Because if you try to have both ServiceNow and Jira updating tickets, oh, there's a land of pain. And you will find that very quickly you'll get confused as to what's where. Okay, I'm going to move on a little bit. We've talked about the guiding principles. And if you're really interested, you can go off and find the 34 practices that provide you with even more guidance on how you implement this as part of ITIL 4. So Jira Service Management. Again, we've got that word service management with another word in front of it, this time Jira. Now, Atlassian defines Jira Service Management, and I took this directly off the Atlassian.com website. And as this is JiraCon, I suppose I better talk a little bit about Jira and not just anything and everything. It's a software tool. So we know that service management is a methodology. We know enterprise or ITSM is about delivering for the organization or the department. And here's a tool that's designed to help you. And they claim it's for IT services. I would actually contest that it's for every service, for any department. And it's for any service operations, providing some support for customer support and enhancing that collaboration. But what I would also say is it is not the only tool in Atlassian's tool set that will help you in a service management space. Now, I've done a lot of talking, I've done a lot of words on the screen, so let's try and wrap this up into a nice, easy to remember diagram. So starting at the top, service management, the methodology is your vision, which is implemented for an organization through enterprise service management. And then you have departments that deliver, whether it be ITSM or whatever. There's a big debate about whether ITSM is or is not part of ESM. I'm going to sit on the fence and put it overlapping the two. You can put it wherever is appropriate for your organization. I'm not going to argue with you in any way, shape or form. But where do the tools sit? Well, we know that service management from Jira Service Management sits across. But it's not the only tool that can support the delivery of service management. One of the key features of service management is knowledge bases. Now, okay, there is a cut-down version of Confluence that comes with JSM, but often organizations want to use Confluence as well. And so there you have an example there of the vision, how it maps into the organization, how it maps to a department, and a couple of the tools that would be in there. So let's have a look at a few of the practices from those 34 practices that I mentioned in ITIL. I'm not going to go through them all. There's 34 of them. I would get bored before I got halfway through. And if I'm bored, you are definitely going to be bored. So I've just pulled out a few. And what I've done here is a simple table that just gives you a feel for, is this something which would be part of enterprise service management? Is it part of IT service management? Is it part of Jira service management? In what terms? Remember that JSM is a tool, and therefore JSM as a tool is supporting those other two parts. This is my view. I've color-coded it, kept it really simple. Red, unlikely. Yellow, Maybe. Green, highly likely. And so we can see, looking at this, that change management is unlikely to be present as part of what is delivered at an enterprise service management. You can argue whether it should be, and I'm perfectly willing to take you on and say, yep, I'd agree that it should be. But the reality is that very few enterprises are mature enough to build that change management into all their different processes yet. I will love the day when they are and when they come, but we're not there yet. Asset management, again, arguable whether it's at an enterprise. Definitely there for IT, and JSM definitely supports that. So you can do this, and you can repackage this table and set it up to match what your expectation as an organization is. And you can add extra columns. So if you want to do a facilities service management, you can add that column in and say, what do you need? And that's a great way of focusing that through. I see we've got some more Q&As coming. Do you want to, good to carry on?
Yeah, let's actually answer this question from Mark. Often moving from data center behind the firewall to cloud includes transformation work as well. How do you typically help customers make those changes of how their service management processes work on premise and helping them adjust them for using it in cloud?
Wow, there's so much wrapped up in that question. Okay, I'm going to break it up into a number of sections. So the first thing I would say is a shift from DC to cloud. That transformation is taking you from where you were and where you are on the day before your move into where you want to be heading in the future. So when you talk about a transformation and moving from data center behind the firewall to cloud, it is a transformation in the way of working. And it's a little bit like when you move house. You realize that you've got all of the kids' old toys and things cluttering up your house when you come to move, and they've now moved out and they live somewhere else. Do you really need to keep all those old toys? At some point, you might have taken part in some hobby and you built up a lot of things to that hobby, but you've never had time to carry on with it. So is it time to keep that and take it with you? Because at some point in the past, you had that hobby. So one of the things that we do is we work with those customers to identify what were the things in their processes that were completely valid in the past, but are no longer valid now, and certainly are not valid in the future. And how do you clean up your instance before you do that transformation? Have you got a reliable archiving policy process? Make sure that they go there. Don't try and do everything on day one of you when you land in cloud. And before we started, myself and Ulrika were talking about the journey to cloud and how, yep, on day one, you're a bit shell-shocked and you're there. And you need time to understand what's different, what's better, how do you use it? And so think about it as being something that you iterate out on and you get better in that respect. And as you get better, you can bring those other processes in. And remember what I said, feedback, feedback, feedback. Look at what you're doing. Is it better than what you had? Is it better than what you've got? Keep it going forward. Yep. Right. Oh, blimey, the questions are coming faster and furious here. Jesslyn, I'm going to hold your question for later.
Okay. Looks like Erica's question was just posted twice.
Okay. So we add the work to the sprint if we have support immediate issues. Yep. Hey, Erica, welcome to the land of pain of having one team that does both the development and the support work. This comes down to how much time do you allocate to support so that you don't impact your burn down chart, and how much time do you allocate to development. You need to allocate enough to development so that they get stuff done, but you need to allocate enough time that they can deal with the support. But the reality is that trying to combine those two things together, it can impact your burn down chart and presents a complexity in your reporting. Absolutely. And this is where I would always say, reports are great if all you show is numbers. They show you the what, but they never explain the why. And this is where I go back to using Confluence. And so when you're looking at a burn down chart and explaining a burn down chart, stick it onto a Confluence page, put it on that Confluence page, and put a dialogue on that explains what happened and why, because you won't remember in 4 weeks' time when you look back at that burn down chart to understand what that was. But if you've got it documented in Confluence, you have a point of reference that you can use to explain why did that happen in that respect. Okay, so that question that we just got, really good. It actually leads me nicely into my next slide. And so I'm just going to now very, very abridge the Agile principles. And so the Agile principles, absolutely, they are there in that respect. And again, here I've taken them from the Agile methodology, the Agile manifesto. I'm getting me methodologies and me manifestos all confused. It's been a long day. So the Agile manifesto, I've cut it down. I haven't taken all of the 12 guiding principles. I've just taken 4 of them for today. I could have gone into lots more, but I wanted people to actually have something that they could get their head around and work with. The first one I took was a really simple one, which was the customer. I then took the changing requirements, working together, and simplicity. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delve into each of those a little bit further and just talk about them and compare them with the ITSM and ITIL and various other practices. So taking the first one, the number one priority. I'm sure everybody has heard customer is king, customer is your number one priority, all of those sorts of things. And so we can see when we look at the Agile, keep that customer, think about the value that you're driving to that customer. Absolutely. It's embedded within that service management discipline of delivering quality services that customers will value and buy. So we have that very direct linkage between what Agile is saying, your number one priority is to satisfy the customer, what service management is saying, which is deliver those services of quality in that respect. So we do not collide in that respect. We actually have 2 statements that very much reinforce each other. The next one is change. And here I'm using the ITIL 4 continual improvement model. And it's saying where are we trying to get, what are we doing, how are we going to measure it, how are we going to get there, did we get there, yes we did, okay, now let's take some feedback and let's go again. So again, pushing that back into Agile, we welcome changing requirements. We don't care when they come, and we bring them into for the customer's competitive advantage. So again, we have 2 requirements that very much look at one that says, yep, we're going to continually improve, and the other that says we accept that the world moves on and we need to change and improve. I'm ignoring the live and QA. Erica, feel free to interrupt me when you want. So let's look at the third one. Again, business people and developers. And I would actually extend that out from the Agile to say, and your end users, work together throughout the project to make sure that you're delivering the right thing that adds the right value to the right people in the right time in the right way. And ITIL 4 has the guiding principle of collaborate, and more importantly, not only collaborate, but promote that visibility and share the progress that you're doing. And one of the great ways you do that in Agile is your sprint reviews and your sprint demos and your feature development sprints in that respect. Now, I've done a lot of talking, so I thought it was about time that we had a picture. And so I present you with KISS. Now, why you might be thinking, am I presenting KISS? And I've put a quick poll up. I'm going to let people run with that poll. It's not, surprisingly, I wasn't referring to the glam rock in that respect. Really interesting that looking at the poll results that come in, nobody's actually put the glam rock personified yet on the poll. I'm disappointed in you. I thought some of you would have had a sense of humour. But again, we've got 2 things here, and absolutely keep it simple, stupid. And I'll show the results. There you go. There we go. So what we have is simplicity. Agile says, as much as focusing on the work that you do, also think about the amount of work that you don't do. think about what you're delivering and think about how you actually deliver that, and think about it as, how do I avoid work? How do I make sure that what we're doing is truly valuable? And that is incredibly important, so much so that a lot of people miss just how important that is. Now, this has all been very, very serious, and I've talked about lots of stuff. And hopefully some of this is ringing true with you. I'm seeing questions that are really deep and meaningful, and they're great. So keep firing them at us, and we'll keep answering them. And if you are participating in the live chat, I love the fact that you're doing that. So I'm going to just show a video on the next slide. And I want you to think about this video. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about it in terms of some process that you have built within your organization that was incredibly detailed and incredibly complex, and then your end users just chose to use it in a way that you didn't expect. And I'll give full credit to, I'm just got to remember the person's name. Yeah, I'll give full credit to Alison Burke, who put this video together. I'm sure many of you have already seen it, but what I'm asking you to do is, whilst you watch this video, think about some very complex process that was completely circumvented by your end users. It's very short, and here we go.
This is a square. Can you guess which spot that goes in?
The square.
That's right. It goes in the square hole.
Yes. Okay.
And how about this rectangle? That one
Also the
goes
square.
in there too.
Yeah.
Up next, you've got this thin rectangle.
The thin rectangle.
That's where that
Then
goes?
the thin rectangle.
That's right. It goes in the square hole. And up next, a cylinder.
The circle.
I think that goes in
The circle.
square hole. Now, we've also got the semicircle right here. Do you see a slot that would fit
The semicircle.
The
The semicircle.
That's right. It's the square hole. Okay. Up next, the triangle. We know what hole that goes
The
in,
triangle.
right?
Triangle.
That's right. Square hole. And up next, we have the arch.
The arch.
You guessed it.
The arch.
It goes in the square hole.
Okay. So hopefully a few of you have seen that, and hopefully it's triggered a few thoughts and in your minds about how we have to think about what adds value to our customer. If the customer here was the person sorting the blocks, they had an answer there, which was just drop everything in the square hole. Everything fits in the square hole. And how many of you have had other questions on a customer portal, and everything gets raised under other questions because people can't be bothered to find the right place to put it, or they put other questions as the first option at the top? Think about it. Think about the way your end user is actually going to use it. Don't be afraid of admitting you get it wrong and building it out from there. Right. So I'm going to give you some key takeaways, and I'm going to actually also put another one out, which just asks you, I've talked very light-hearted, I've talked quite high level about the various different things. So I want to give you a few takeaways that are just going to help you in that respect. Obviously, off the back of what we've just used, only deliver what will be used. Make sure that you deliver value to your customer. Don't forget that feedback is important, and you use it to improve where you're going. And that improvements just make you better all round. It's not a case of having got it wrong. It's actually a case of you've listened to the feedback and you've worked out ways to make it better. A great way of changing the phraseology is rather failed, but opportunities to improve. Don't try and do it on your own. Your customers, your colleagues, they're all important. But if you have to take just one takeaway away from today and what I've done, Agile and ITSM are all about putting the customer number one. And if that's the only takeaway you take from everything that I've said, apart from, of course, going to find that video on TikTok of the people putting the blocks in the wrong place, that I'm quite happy that you've taken that away. So thank you very much. I hope I've encouraged you to break down the silos and remember that Agile and ITSM are not in conflict. They're not colliding. They actually work together. And so we've talked about Agile. We've brought things from Agile. We've brought things from ITSM. But don't stop there. Go across, look at your DevSecOps and think about what you can do there. Also think of ways of working and what that brings to the table. And in fact, open your eyes to anything anywhere that can help improve your service management offering. Whether that be knowledge management, ways of working, whatever. If you think it can help, go out there and use it. If it's gamifying your solution, go out and use it. So we've gone through a lot there. We've talked about where Agile and ITSM can work together and how they do not collide. And now it's an open question time. So, Erica, we had a couple of questions that we held over. So shall we tick those off first?
Yeah, let's start with Jesselyn's question. Can you speak to a possible intersection between ITSM and iterative development? For example, release management and release train facilitation.
Well, if you dig deep into the ITIL 4 practices, and I know I didn't list the 34 because I didn't want to bore you all to tears, there is a practice which is all about change and release management. Well, there are two practices, one for change enablement and one for release management that talk exactly to that and how you bring the control of change up front, and then secondly, how you understand the releases that have happened and their impact upon your solutions. So I would actually say ITIL, release management and change management talk exactly to that, how you bring those into your ITSM solution to enable you to be quicker at identifying root causes of incidents when they occur that could be caused by releases, and also to give you a level of control over change so that you manage change in a controlled way. I can go on for hours, but I'm just going to say, think about change as being standard emergency and anything else that you want. Think about the types of changes that you want to do and build automations for those that are low risk and easy to do. There you go. That's a very quick answer on that one. I've just published the results on what people thought about which was the most important one for them. So thank you very much for that. Okay. Next question, Erica. Have we got another one?
We don't have any more questions right now. So if you guys have something burning on your mind, you really want to ask Phill, now is your chance. You have his exclusive attention, and he is a wise, wise man. Trust me.
Right. So now we talked a little bit about that you were from Boise. So I'm going to publish my final poll, and we'll see what people say. So here's the question. Why does Erica have the nickname Milkshake in the Atlassian community? And I've given you three options for this. I know the story, who knows, and what the, and fill in whatever expletive you like in that respect. And I want to say special thanks to Erica for supporting me today at relatively short notice. And yeah, it's been absolutely great. I hope everybody who's attended has enjoyed this session. I hope you've taken something out of it. And if nothing else, you've gone onto TikTok to find that video in that respect. So I'm going to give a couple more seconds for people who've not yet voted because the numbers look far too easy in that respect. Oh, I should end it now because it's exactly 1/3. But there we go. And there we show the results. So, Erica, do you want to tell people where you got the nickname Milkshake from? Or should we just leave them to wonder?
Them pondering. Or should I tease them and say you must attend my advanced roadmap session later today to find out?
Absolutely. Go for that one. That's the answer. There you go. You will find out the answer to this question in the advanced roadmap session with Erica later. So thank you all for attending. We hope you've had a good time. Feel free to connect with me. There you go. Coming up shortly, you've got the mastering, release and deployment tracking in Jira. You've also got reimagining your release notes with Gilami and Jen. I want to leave you with something in that respect. I've blatantly been the magpie and gone out and found something for you. I want you to leave feeling inspired. So I thought I'd finish off with a short inspirational video. And if you've not seen this, feel free to have a laugh at it as it goes through. Thank you for attending. Please vote me up on the scores. If you want to carry on, I'll be looking at the live chat after this video. Other than that, have a great day, whatever's left of it, whether it's just a couple of hours before you go to bed or you've got the whole day. Thank you very much for attending, and I hope you found this useful.
William fight! No! We were right! And we will live! Shame on you! This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst. And I guarantee a week won't go by in your life. You won't regret walking out and letting them get the best of you.
Well, I'm not going home.
You got too far! I'm gonna stay right here and fight for this lost cause. They may come from the courage of men fail, but it is not this day.
Yeah. This from father.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy.
You're gonna work harder than ever worked before.
But that's fine. We're just gonna win it.
Person versus team shows real determination.
Failure is not up. That's how winning is done.
Believe me when I say we can break this army here.
And we just want to give the giver.
I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time.
You've got to get mad. I mean, one man don't mean.
If you would be 3 men, then you must fight to fulfill that promise. Cut out their living guts 1 inch at a time.
And they will know what we can do.
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
Like a big bear, man.
This is your time. Seize the day. Never surrender.
Victory all that.
Who's with me?
Clap! Clap! Go, team guy! Clap!
All right, let's fly. And gentlemen in England, now up in. Shall we know my name is the law? Tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our Independence Day.
Right. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I saw quite a few reactions. I hope you all enjoyed that little video. And you go away feeling, yep, Agile and ITSM, they can work together, and that sorts us. Thank you very much. I'll have a quick look at the chat and see if there's anything that I need to answer in there. I see the Q&A is all fine and the polls have done. Everybody, thank you for your time today. I hope you enjoyed that.